Something to speak about. Shabbat after Shabbat and holiday after holiday, sometimes it becomes a challenge. But thank God for the Torah. I mean, there's always something that one can find that can spike your interest and actually, as the rabbis would say, it cries out darshuni, explicate what it says. It's interesting, that Passover, of course, is a holiday of freedom. And Heinrich Heine said, wherever freedom is spoken of, it has a Hebrew accent. And certainly the influence of Passover, the freedom of slaves, has ignited interest not only among Jews, but around the world. And especially if one thinks in terms of some of the black spirituals, go down Moses, way down into Egypt land, tell, O Pharaoh, let my people go. So freedom is something that I think that across the world, the people are interested in. But what is so very interesting to me is that tucked away in this Torah reading, there is a line, Huka achat tieh la'ezrach la'gea hagar b'tochechem. There'll be one law, both for you, the native-born, and the stranger who dwells among you. One of the unfortunate facts of human life is that we have, like Sholem Aleichem said, everybody has 3 sets of Shulchan Aruch, the code of Jewish law. One for strangers, everything is forbidden. One for people some things are forbidden, some things are not. And one thing for yourself, everything is allowed. And the unfortunate fact is that we seem to allow anything for those who are closest to us. And when we think in terms of strangers, that, you have what the Greeks call xenophobia, xenos, the stranger. We look upon anything that is strange as far as human beings are concerned as potentially dangerous. Potentially dangerous. And therefore we greet other human beings with apprehension, sometimes fear, and sometimes, unfortunately, with hatred and violence. I remember the story told in Winnipeg of the 2 Jewish women who came to New York City, and they went into an elevator with a very tall black man with his German Shepherd, and he said, sit, and they sat on the elevator floor. But that is, I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but it really speaks to how we deal with people who we feel are different. And it is a problem not only in the personal, but also in the way in which communities deal with each other. One of the misfortunes of the conflict between Israelis and Palestinians is the demonization of the other. For all the silly protests, it cannot be forgotten that Hamas wishes to destroy every single Israeli Jew and possibly Jews outside the land of Israel. On the other hand, Israelis have responded sometimes too often in kind. 20 years ago, I opined, I said, how long will it take for Israelis to imitate the people who they're living among? Like Ben Gvir and Smotrich, and some of the rabid settlers that are conducting horrible excesses against Palestinians in the West Bank. They're actually just blending into the territory. That's how people have lived in the Middle East and across the world. It hasn't been sufficiently noted that there are no Jews in Arab lands, that once there was a thriving Jewish community in Iraq, they were chased out. The community in Persia, whatever is left of it, lives in terror. One of the leaders of the Jewish community was publicly hanged from a construction device. The amount of hatred just because someone is different, and the way in which the Torah tells us to deal with other people is to see them as possible friends and members of the community. Freedom does not mean the right to use excess against other human beings who do not belong to your group. And it has to be said that even in these United States of America, there is too much prejudice. Of course, we're seeing a rise of anti-Semitism. I wonder about these protest groups, whether they're just really interested in the people in Gaza, or they're much more interested in making life miserable for Jews in the United States of America. And that goes even to the so-called halls of learning. You know, one of the prejudices that people have is that if somebody has a college degree, it makes them into a better human being. And that's a prejudice, of course, that is found in our land too. The type of alienation that exists in this country between those who live in the heartland and those who live on the coasts is because we no longer see each other as individuals, or even grant that the others may have certain virtues that may even be lacking among us. Just because someone has a college degree does not make them necessarily an ethical, moral person. To prove my point, all I have to say is Joseph Goebbels had a PhD. It did not improve the moral quality of his life. And the ability to see people as people and equal and by right to have the same particular rights and privileges that we have. That freedom means that we live by a law in which all are equal. We have not become free from slavery to enslave others. And the challenge of Passover, is contained in the very beginning of the Seder, in those Aramaic words. This is the bread of affliction which our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt. We should know what it means to suffer. And meaning that we know what it is to suffer gives us not the right or the privilege to do that to others, but the burden of spreading the message of Passover that all human beings should be free. And freedom also means freedom from want. It is a disgrace that in the United States of America, somebody has to go on television and ask for a charity so that children should be fed. how unbelievable it is that there are those who are so more interested in children who are unborn than children who are born. Halachmanya, this is a bread of affliction. Kol dichvin yete vayifsach. Anyone who is hungry, anyone who is famished, let them come and eat. The whole idea that every single human being is entitled to meals. One of the things that the rabbis established when the Jews lived in the land is that there was a tamchui, a soup kitchen, that provided for every single person in the land, regardless of who they were, 2 meals a day and 3 meals on Shabbat. That no one should go hungry. And what a disgrace it happens to be in this country that anyone should go hungry when we can ship wheat across the world. And it goes on, v'chol ditzrich yete v'yifsach. And all those who are suffering oppression, all those who are being put upon by others, let them come and celebrate the Passover. Passover which has a promise of freedom for all human beings. And so in the Seder we open up the door for Elijah, because we speak not only of the present but of the future. And Judaism is a religion that believes in the future of this world, a world that can support all of its creatures abundantly, because the earth is beautiful. This beautiful earth that we are going to celebrate this very soon with the blessing for Tal, for dew. For the dews that fall and the rains that come, and they come for every single human being, and for every single human being to realize the worth of each other and the right of each and every single individual on this planet to live in security. Too often, so many wars have been fought, so many lives have been lost, so many people are left bereft, and yet the lesson is not learned. But the voice goes forth. Kol Dodi, the voice of my beloved, is knocking. Every single Passover we are reminded that the voice is calling. It's knocking at our door. The answer is waiting for all of us to open the door. We continue now, page 155 for the Musaf Kaddish. Then we're going to go to page 123, where we have the beginning of the prayer for Tal. Is it 123? Did I say the right word?